There are a number of things that make LARB special. Perhaps the fundamental one is that it is called the Los Angeles Review of Books.
What Paris was in the 19th century and what New York was in the 20th century is what Los Angeles is in the 21st century.
Historically, the book publishing and the book review industries were New York hegemony, and Los Angeles has been considered a bit of a backwater over the years.
The perception of Los Angeles in so many parts of the country as well as the world was continuously skewed by a Hollywood narrative.
But today, it has matured into a world-class city in terms of its cultural and intellectual activities.
We're seeing a broader array of voices for sure, even in the last 10 years, and yet there are still so many stories that are untold and still so many corners that are unexplored.
This is unquestionably the most creative city in the world right now. And it's a city that has a deep and influential literary and artistic tradition.
We felt that the missing link in the maturation of Los Angeles was a venue for intellectual discourse and for building intellectual community, and the Los Angeles Review of Books was that missing link.
It's really this fulfillment of a vision from nothing to something pretty spectacular.
When the call was put out by Tom Lutz, we couldn't quite tell what he was talking about or what form it was going to take. But I remember the people that had already responded to that call were like a who's of writers in the West. And it was so affirming. And I think that that spirit has really blazed through the life of this organization.
He invited writers and thinkers with the kind of light and creativity to keep it alive and growing for this past decade.
The LA Review of Books has helped to create a sense of cohesion, community, and importance to the literary world in Los Angeles that I think is hugely important and deserved.
LARB, like the city it represents, is so expansive and marked by a truly capacious sense of possibility.
One of the reasons I believe it has been so successful is its editorial openness.
The commitment to really careful and interesting writing, no matter what the subject can be.
It assigns very broadly, and it accepts very broadly. And mostly the standard just seems to be, is it good?
We also love the fact that it's an online venue.
A virtual marketplace of ideas.
A city square in the Athenian sense, where people go to speak and be heard.
What makes LRB special is a kind of real democracy.
LARB is the only literary journal in Los Angeles that actually tries to reflect the diversity of the city, both in its contributors and in the articles it presents.
LARB is a really wonderfully porous space that you can have young readers who find you in various ways and then actually become part of it.
There's so many different people who've written for it. Some people are seniors, top of their fields. Other people are brand new to the profession.
I'm really interested in the space where like the radical and the mainstream can exist side by side and make each other larger. There aren't a lot of spaces like that, and I think LARB does it incredibly well in terms of bringing the right people around the table.
They are doing something that no one else in the country is doing in terms of marrying the popular and the intellectual, the widely read versus the innovative.
There's amazing willingness to take risks, I think.
There's a real effort, strive for original insights and then relevance.
It's like LARB is a kind of continuous ongoing library of what's happening in the literary world, what's happening in the world of culture and politics and science.
It's a cornucopia of literary excellence.
It's not stuck, and it can never get stuck because its very being is somehow anti-stuckness.
That sense of intellectual adventure comes through on its pages and draws people.
There's both a kind of seriousness of endeavor, but also really unpretentious.
Everyone is coming together to work on this and has the opportunity to sort of find their audience.
It is pretty much an open access publication, which means almost everything is available online.
LARB is huge. LARB had 5 million visits last year. This is people all over the world.
And it keeps growing, and I think it keeps growing in really, really interesting ways.
We publish perhaps 1,500 reviews and essays a year. We have a radio show and a podcast. We have the very wonderful LARB Publishing Workshop.
What began as a Tumblr that was publishing one piece a day has grown over the past decade through the inspired work and vision of its incredible founders and staff and contributors into a remarkable and robust literary arts organization that serves not only Los Angeles incredibly well, but also millions of readers around the globe.
We've published some 14,000 articles in every genre, online and in print. We've given voice to nearly 7,000 contributors, and we've covered books by almost 8,000 authors. We thank each and every person who has helped make LARB what it is.